Morning, Sunday, September 14th, 2025. I'm Big Fat Larissa, and this is my video diary. Oh my god. Yep. I'm waiting for my mug of skull juice to show up. Oh my god. I'm hurting. It's supposed to be clear today, and it was fairly clear yesterday, but there was marine layer, and coming off those last couple days before that with all of the shifts in barometric pressure, it's just like, ugh, my joints have been swelling and down, you know? Oh. Anyway, yesterday, I went grocery shopping with the Omar Beast. Yeah, got stuff for making dinners and stuff for our next week or so, couple weeks. And there's other stuff I had to get for the gallery, toilet paper and shit like that. Yeah. Yeah, so last night for dinner, we had bori, and what was in my bori? Broccoli, green onion, mushroom, ginger, garlic, and the tofu. The tofu. I air fried the tofu. Yeah, I do that. I air fry the tofu before I toss it in the wok. Keeps the air fry, puts a little like crispy skin on the outside. So it makes the tofu be like, oh, it's naughty, it's fried tofu, but it's not, it's air fried tofu. Yeah. And it gives it that nice chewy texture. I squeeze mine. I squeeze my tofu. And then I air fry it. And before I put it in the air fryer, I don't just put it in there dry, because if you do, it sticks to the little basket. So I take my Pam spray, the coconut oil on the other side. So it's not totally oil free, but it's like such a little bit. It's not fried, right? Like it's just enough so that it doesn't stick to the basket. And then I sprinkle a little bit of salt on it. So the tofu is not just like super bland. Yeah. So it's like it's naughty, but it's not. Yeah. And then in my wok, I start by frying the fresh ginger. I still have some seasoning cubes in my freezer that have galangal and ginger and some other stuff in them. But I decided I didn't want that. And it has hot chilies. I didn't want any spicy. I didn't want any spicy last night. So I didn't have spicy. Yeah. Yeah, so I fried the ginger a little bit first, and then I put in the mushrooms and garlic and broccoli and covered that, and let the moisture that comes out of the mushrooms, I let that kind of like steam the broccoli. Yeah. And then I dumped in the green onions and the tofu and stirred that around. And then the sauce, and I made a little sauce to go on it. And then I serve it in the donbori, which is the deep bowl, the deep Japanese bowl. I serve it in the donbori over rice. So the sauce that was in it last night, it was like a couple tablespoons of mirin and a teaspoon of lime juice, and I don't know, like 2 or 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, and what else is in that? And oh gosh, what's the other thing I put in that? Oh, pomegranate molasses. I put some pomegranate molasses in it, and then I added like a teaspoon of this new hot sauce that we got, that I found online. I ordered it, and I'm not sure where it's from. The script that's on it is it's like stylized, but it's an Asian language, but it's wasabi hot sauce, and it's nice. It's nice. It's not like super like, it's not spicy the way chilies are spicy, right? Horseradish is wasabi is not spicy in the same way. It's hot, but it's not hot in the same way. So I mixed that in there, and I shook it all together, and then I added a little bit of tapioca starch, shook that in there. So when I poured it over the veggies and tofu on the heat and the wok, it thickened up a little bit. So it wasn't just like runny water, runny sauce. It wasn't like a runny sauce. So it kind of like stuck to everything. Yeah. And that's what we had last night. I called it bori, wabi, sabi. Because it wasn't perfect. Right? Yeah. Yeah. That's what we had for dinner last night. So anyway, I went grocery shopping yesterday. That's what we did in the morning. And we went and had breakfast. We went and had like brunch first, and then we went grocery shopping because I don't like going grocery shopping when I'm hungry. If I go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, I buy way too much food. So yeah, then we came home and I put groceries away and I did laundry and I answered some emails and I did a bunch of writing yesterday. I did a bunch of writing yesterday, and I got a little bit of work I need to do today. A little bit of work I need to do today, and I'm going to go into the gallery to play. Oh, I have some new materials that I'm doing materials tests with. And so that's when I say I'm playing, that's what I'm doing. I'm not working on a finished piece, and I'm not working on a study for a finished piece, right? Like I don't have an assignment for myself, right? Right now it's just materials exploration because I have some new materials. Yeah, I have some. There's some work I think I might be doing in the near future, visual work, flat, two-dimensional work, and it has come out of it has come out of as a surprise to me. Like it wasn't something. I have a bunch of things that I know I want to do, right? Like coming up, like I want to do some more rugs, and some other shit like that, like but this is something that has kind of crept out of the shadows. It's like, oh, and presented itself like, oh, you got to do this work now. So I'm gonna, and it's what these material tests are going to inform will be the studies. The next level will be the studies that I'm going to do. So we will see. We will see how this goes. I've been having some weird dreams. I might have to write somebody a letter and tell them about this dream that I had last night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Senor Perro, what are you doing? Brody over there, knocking around. Oh, hope he gets that tea up here soon. Oh. I don't want to rush him or anything. Oh my gosh. So the Charlie Kirk story just gets weirder and weirder, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, totally. Oh, and this morning, I saw this clip of this news story that was in my feed that was just like, I have to comment on it. So I don't have all of the information. The news clip was like under 6 minutes, and it was talking about Greg Abbott, horse's ass himself. It's not even fair to call him a horse's ass. Horsies have nice bums. Ugh, he's like a pile of rocks. Dumb as hell. Anyway, we're not dumb. Mean. I don't know. So I don't know everything about the story. What the story said in under 6 minutes was that there's some legislation that Greg Abbott has signed that is being touted. He's touting as anti-Sharia law. I will get to get to that in a minute. But it's revolving around there is a planned community that is owned by a group of Muslim people, and they said that they will only rent to people who will enhance their community, whatever that means. And this is supposed to Greg Abbott saying that this is housing discrimination because you can't discriminate against selling or renting to somebody because of their religion. Okay. I am not in defense of any individual religion. I am in defense of the right to freedom of religion and your belief, which also means freedom from religion. I've been abused by Islam as the spouse of a man who comes from a Muslim family. I am familiar with what is Hadith and what is Sharia. And Mr. Abbott, I will first explain to you that when you say Sharia law, what you are saying is God's law, right? Because what Sharia means is God's law or divine law, right? And that's according to Islam. So it's similar to saying what is canon in Catholicism, right? Sharia includes a lot of stuff, and that the reason why my father-in-law and mother-in-law were willing to openly say that they wanted me to be her slave, her kefir. That is part of Sharia, that the belief is that it is God's law, according to Islam, that anybody who is the people of the book, Jews and Christians, are made to by God to serve Muslims as slaves. That is the belief. What else is Sharia? Female genital mutilation is part of Sharia. What else is part of Sharia? Not being allowed to pay usury. What else? There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's also akin to laws of being kosher, right? And some of those have overlap with Sharia, right? Also, like honor killings, that's part of Sharia. But, going after this from the perspective of housing, are you saying that people cannot live in a religious community? They own this land. These people own this property, right? And so there are planned communities like co-housing here in California that are owned by like Buddhist groups, or the UU. The UU owns one in Santa Rosa. They own a co-housing community. And what else? Or what about convents, right? What about seminaries? What about like Subiaco in Michigan? Retreat houses. Well, they're retreat houses, but they are also the homes for there's brothers that live there. What about these religious communities? What about like in Oakland, there is a retirement community that is a graduated, it's a graduated facility, meaning that once you are of senior citizen age, you can move in at an independent level. And then once you buy into the community, then you have the ability to be placed in graduated care as you need it. You can go in independent to assisted to nursing, all in one facility. What about that? There's at least one that I know of for sure, in Oakland, because my mother-in-law interviewed to get into it, and they accepted her. And it was a Christian-run facility, and she's a Muslim, and they accepted her, and she turned it down because one of the rules was it was a dry facility. You couldn't bring alcohol in. So, I'm a little bit like, are Republicans like Greg Abbott interpreting the Constitution's freedom of religion as freedom of Christianity and freedom of their brand of Christianity, whatever that is. So, in Oakland, I had Shia Muslims harassing me because my husband's family came from a Sunni family. And so I understand, and I had a Sunni Muslim or a Shia Muslim tell me that he was in charge in our neighborhood and that he was going to tell me what business I could and couldn't do, and that I had to pay him a tax. That is Sharia. I had that in Oakland. That had nothing to do with my housing. That just had to do with this asshole and his organized crime group moving into the neighborhood. Right? Mm. What is stopping? But that's not, not all Muslims desire to live in that kind of extremist way. Right? And here in the United States, we're supposed to have freedom of religion where everybody's allowed to live according to their own conscience and their own faith. And regardless of what I think of any number of things within Islam, charity and charitable works are also part of their structure, right? So I've known lots of Muslims who have not harmed me either, right? I just, like, I was invited to rent at the co-housing in Santa Rosa that's owned by the UU. It's across the street from, it's like a block up and across the street from the Whole Foods, near where like the Rialto Theater used to be. I chose not to rent there because I did not want to be part of their community. All right. And I made other choices. This was one of my housing options when Omar and I separated for 6 months after his father passed away, and he was going to walk out on our mortgage, and I wasn't sure how I was going to afford to live or where I was going to live. And this was a financially viable option for me, to rent a studio apartment in the co-housing that was owned by majority of UUs, right? It was a UU community. And I chose not to. And eventually Omar and I reunited. So I know how co-housing works. And they definitely had rules about, they had an interview screening process on who. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Take him with you. He's been being like anxious or something. So like I know how co-housing works, right? What is co-housing? Co-housing is when a group of people with some common interest get together and buy a parcel of land and build multiple living units on that land, and frequently have some other amenities of community. And so you buy into the community. It's not like a just buying your own freestanding single family home or even townhouse or whatever. You buy into the community. And so like, some co-housing communities will have a school. Some will have other types of amenities, like maybe physical therapy or gyms, or, some like a co-op for artisans or whatever, or or businesses, right? And so there's an interview process. You have to interview with the board of the co-housing community. So if this is a case of a Muslim majority co-housing community, I'm not sure what Greg Abbott is talking about other than a whole lot of anti-First Amendment bigotry, you know? And it's a dangerous precedent to be setting for our nation, right? Right? So, I mean, he's a piece of work. He really is a piece of work. There's a better chance of Sharia existing within Texas in cities where there's organized crime, and particularly if you have groups of organized crime that are Muslim majority, like this group that moved into Oakland, or, any other number of organized crime groups, right? They killed Muslims when they moved into Oakland. There was a rash of murders of Muslim business owners, and that went unsolved as far as I know, and I suspected at the time when they were happening of what it was, because they were the majority of Muslims that had been living in Oakland, for one or more generations, were Sunni, and the Muslims that were coming into town were Shia, and they fight. They don't get along. And there was a baker. There was a baker in particular. I can't remember his name. I didn't know, we weren't on a first name basis, but I had bought from him a number of times. He was the only bakery in town that made kanafa, like Egyptian style kanafa. He also made karaif and baklava and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But he made traditional Egyptian kanafa, and I had purchased from him a couple times. They murdered him. They murdered him. He was one of them. So, those are my comments on that shit. And that shisa down there, that horse manure, that pile of huvna down there in Texas. Huvna. Yeah. Anyway. So today, I got a little bit of work I need to do, and I think I'm going to go over to the gallery, and I think I'm just going to be nice to me today. I think it's going to be a be nice to Larissa day today for Larissa. I'm going to have another be nice to Larissa day coming up this week. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to give my hairs a nice treatment this week. Yeah. I do. I think that's what I'm going to do. Like tomorrow, I think I'll do that tomorrow. Give my hairs a nice conditioning heat treatment. Yeah. Maybe not tomorrow. I got something I got to do early in the morning, so maybe not tomorrow. Oh, maybe tomorrow evening. Doesn't have to be in the morning, does it? No, it does not. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm really pleased with the writing I've been doing recently. I am. I'm very pleased with the writing I've been doing recently. And I have I finished my novel. Oh my gosh, I didn't talk about that yesterday. I did. Friday I finished the novel, and I wrote the introduction and everything. The notes from the note from the author. Yeah, the book is done. I wrote a novel last week. Yes, I did. It is 13 chapters and it is well over 200 pages. Holy mackerel, Larissa. Holy mackerel. I guess I got a lot to say, huh? Got a lot of words in my brains. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So the November issue of the magazine, it's pretty much done. I just have a little bit of proofing and stuff I need to do. And then I can start the layout for the December issue. And the December issue is going to be interesting. The December issue is going to have some interesting journalism. Yeah, it is. That's all I'm going to say right now. I have already been threatened with lawsuit over the December issue. So, as a journalist, I'm pretty excited.